Hello, Philadelphia! Now, I have given a lot of speeches during this campaign, but I've never sat in the middle, stood in the middle of a basketball court. All right, let me first start apologizing. It looks like we have about 10,000 people in the other arena. So, sorry we couldn't get everybody in, but thanks so much for coming out. What this campaign is about is something new and it's something different. And it's about me telling you in all honesty that no president, not Bernie Sanders or anybody else, can address the enormous crises facing our country. The only way that we can address those problems is through a political revolution. And your being here tonight in such incredible numbers is part of making that revolution. And the revolution is not hard to understand. It is that in a democratic society, all of us should have the right to determine the future of this country. And that means that we should not have a corrupt campaign finance system which allows billionaires to buy elections. That's not democracy. And we should not have Republican governors all over this country trying to suppress the vote, making it hard for people to vote. You know, it's a funny thing. I see a lot of young people here tonight. And before this campaign began, you know, a lot of these experts and the pundits, these, you know, chatting heads on television, you know, they're saying, man, young people, you know, they're busy with their video games. They're not really interested in being involved in politics or government. But what you understand, in the deepest sense, is you are the future of this country, and you're going to help determine that future. And when we talk about the future of this country, one of the points that I've been making throughout this campaign is that people who get a higher education should not be punished financially for getting that education. And that is why we're going to do two things. Number one, we are going to make public colleges and universities tuition free. And number two, we're going to allow those people who have student debt to refinance that debt at the lowest interest rates they can find. People should not have to be paying off their student loans for decades. That's crazy, that's wrong. And the other thing that we're going to do is end a rigged economy in which ordinary people are working longer hours for lower wages, and almost all new income and wealth is going to the top 1%. We're going to create an economy that works for everybody, not just the people on top. And what that means, among other things, is raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Pay equity for women. Changing our disastrous trade policies that have cost us millions of good jobs. I was in Flint, Michigan 5 or 6 weeks ago, and what I saw there and what I heard there was almost hard for me to comprehend that it's happening in the United States of America in 2016, where children are being poisoned with lead in the water. That cannot and must not be allowed to happen in America. So instead of spending trillions of dollars fighting a war that we never should have gotten into Iraq, we're going to start rebuilding the inner cities of America and our crumbling infrastructure. This is the United States of America. We should not have water systems that are poisoning people, wastewater plants that are outdated, roads and bridges that are falling apart. Let's rebuild those and create 13 million jobs. It's okay. Now this is weird. This is very weird. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Now that is very weird looking at that. I know, many of you have heard Republican candidates running all over the country, and they talk about family values. You got it. What they are talking about, and we are not going to allow them to get away with, is telling every woman in this country that she should not have the right to control her own body. They are not going to get away with that. And they're not going to get away with telling our gay brothers and sisters they can't get married. I am a member of the Senate Committee on the Environment, and what I will tell you is the debate is over. Climate change is real. It is caused by human activity, and if we do not very aggressively transform our energy system away from fossil fuel, this country and this planet are going to be in very, very serious trouble. And I want you all to think about the reality that if we have the courage to take on the fossil fuel industry, transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency, sustainable energies like wind, solar, geothermal, transform our transportation system. Not only can we lead the world in combating climate change, we can create millions of great jobs. What this campaign is about is asking each and every one of you to think outside of the box, not accept the status quo as something that has to go on indefinitely. Today, shamefully, we have a broken criminal justice system and more people in jail than any other country on earth. That does not have to be. We can solve that issue. Instead of having kids hanging out on street corners, not in school, not having jobs, we should invest in jobs and education for our kids, not jails and incarceration. This is not a radical idea. We're spending $80 billion a year to lock people up. Take a fraction of that money, invest in our young people, get them decent jobs. We save lives and we save money. Last point that I want to make is that when you think outside of the box, understand that we are the only major country on earth that does not guarantee health care to all people as a right. Every European country does it. Canada does it, we don't. Now think what it means. Just think what it would mean to all of you and to your parents and to everybody else if everybody in this country had health care from birth to death as a right. It means you don't have to stay at a job you don't want to be at just because it has a good health program. It means that you can afford the prescription drugs you need and not get ripped off by the pharmaceutical industry. Now, I am a member of the Senate committee that helped write the Affordable Care Act, and the Affordable Care Act under President Obama has done some very good things. But we can do better. And that is why I support a Medicare for all single-payer program. Everybody here knows that real change in this country never has taken place from the top on down. It's always from the bottom on up. That is the history. That's the history of the trade union movement. It's the history of the civil rights movement. It's the history of the women's movement. It's the history of the gay rights movement. That's how change takes place. Let me give you one example to make the point. If we were here 5 years ago and somebody were to jump up and say, you know, Bernie, I think this federal $7.25 an hour minimum wage is a starvation wage. We've got to raise it to, say, $15 an hour. Now, 5 years ago, the person standing next to that guy